Good afternoon, Science 110. Welcome to week 1 of our course together. This week, we'll be looking at an introduction to our course, as well as our Unit 1 module. In the introduction to our course, we'll be looking at the syllabus. We have a syllabus quiz to take, some information about how to get help and support if you need it. There's an honor code that I ask you to sign, and then there will be our first discussion board introducing each other. Let me here, there we go. All right, and then our first unit, we'll be looking at the scientific method and asking ourselves, what is science? To begin, I'm going to ask you to think about science and to write your own definition of science. And then from there, I want you to poll 5 other people, talk to them about what they think science is. And then in a discussion board post, you'll talk about your definition of science, as well as what the other 5 people said. And then you'll talk with your classmates about what science means and what you think it means. Then we'll actually define science. We'll take a look at what is science? What does science mean? What do we do as scientists? Okay? I recognize that most of you guys are not and do not plan on becoming scientists, which is fine. But we want to understand how scientists think, which is pretty much the main focus of this class. You know, introduction to scientific thought. How does science work? How does science think? Why does science work the way it works? How did we learn how to think scientifically? How did we go from the beginning of humanity to where we are now? And how do we keep progressing beyond that? Okay, we'll look at different branches of science. So I am a scientist. I have multiple degrees in chemistry. Specifically, I studied something called electroanalytical chemistry. So, which just makes me sound basically as nerdy as I actually am. So I'm a chemist. When I'm not teaching this basic science class, I do teach chemistry, both here at Grossmont College and downtown at San Diego City College. We'll take a look at some reflections, and then we'll think about how science works. We'll explore the scientific method. Once we've completed our first unit, then we'll start talking a little bit more about your term project. So I'm going to have you come up with a project this summer. Well, for the 6 weeks this summer, even though it's just a 6-week class. So for the 6-week course, you're going to come up with a project where you're going to utilize the scientific method and test something yourselves. Okay, I'm going to run a sample project to show you guys something that, you know, I don't think you'll be able to replicate the project I'm doing because I'll be using chemicals as a chemist, but you'll find something in your own life to help you think like, okay, well, I have this problem. What's an experiment I can design to test or solve this problem? So for me, what I'm going to demo for you is there's this thing in chemistry called single replacement reactions, where I can have a solid metal and I can have something dissolved in solution and it can change places where my solid metal will dissolve and whatever's in solution will come back out of solution. Well, in my garage where I've stored all of my equipment during COVID, I have a coil of copper wire. This copper wire in various places has gotten tarnished. So what I'm going to run for you is I'm going to look at, well, does the level of tarnish on the copper wire affect how fast the copper will dissolve in this other solution? So that's my problem. And when we actually get the term project module, I'll go more in depth into what the project is, and I'll talk about what the dependent variable is, what the independent variable is, and what the controls are going to be in my experiment. And then you'll have a chance to think about your own life and something that you would like to test in your life. And then you'll write up ideas for me, and you'll come up with a full proposal. We'll do a discussion board check-in, and then the last week of class, your final project write-up will be due. So hopefully you'll enjoy doing the project. I know it can sound really intimidating to have to do a science project and utilize the scientific method, but it can actually be really fun when you think about, okay, well, I have this thing that I want to understand. How can I understand it better? Or I have this problem that I need to solve. How can I solve it? And utilizing the scientific method allows us to do that in a very logical, step-by-step, methodological way. So hopefully that'll work out well for you. So, and then at the end of Unit 1, there will be a Unit 1 exam as well. So Hopefully you're delving into the content. I noticed this morning that several students had already started on the introduction discussion board, which is great to see. So remember, 6-week class. Things go quickly. You cannot afford to get behind the summer because this is normally a 16-week class. We're doing it in less than half the time. So keep up with everything. Don't get behind. Don't wait until late on Sunday to start each week's work because you will not have time to finish. All right. So have a great week. Learn some interesting things, and I will check in with you later.